Heckel starts his gatherings into the zone. Score! Heckel wins it, and the Sun Devils make it 18.
Welcome back to another edition of Hell Frozen Over. I'm Nick Marek. No Austin Controlis, no Trey Lanthier. Second week in a row I got stood up here in front of the camera, but that's okay. But we still have a great segment coming up to you, and they'll join us next week. But now, real news we have to get into is that Central Oklahoma and Oklahoma series that the Sun Devils took on 2 weeks ago before Thanksgiving break. They came back from their turkey break. They got their turkey coma out of the way. They're ready to go. They're taking on Penn State this coming weekend on the road, who's now an NCAA school. Obviously, last year Penn State was the ACHA team, but more on that later to come in the interviews and also the post-game wrap-up. But the Oklahoma series really proved something to the Sun Devils. It proved that they are the top team in the ACHA. 18-0 is not an easy accomplishment to take over, and the Sun Devils really harnessed that, and they got offense from all cylinders. If you look at it, they had different point scores from all their top lines. It was the big issue a couple weeks ago with Coach Power shuffled the lines a little bit, trying to find the right chemistry, saying, okay, boys, how am I going to find the right chemistry? When's this offense really going to get going? Because he's taking pride and saying we have three top lines and the best fourth line in the ACHA, and that's exactly what the Sun Devils showed. The leading point scorer of the weekend was actually Brian McGinty, the junior transfer. He had 2 goals and 4 assists, 6 total points. Both Cale Delinsky and Colin Heckel, 2 of the captains, had 5 points that weekend. 4 goals for Heckel, 3 goals for Delinsky. And then also some other notables. Stephen Collins had 3 goals over the weekend. Dan Sterna had 2 goals. Danny McCullough picked up 4 assists. So really, those are players who contribute week in and week out, and they really harnessed together. They came together as a team, and that's exactly what the Sun Devils needed to do. But enough of the offense. Sure, the offense outscored the Oklahoma schools 16-2, but it was really the goaltenders as well and the defense that stepped up. 2 goals in 3 games on the weekend. That is phenomenal hockey here in the ACHA, especially against 2 top 20 teams, and one of them which was creeping around the top 5 in Oklahoma. But it was Joe Delia saving the day, getting the shutout against Central Oklahoma. Nearly had the shutout against Oklahoma the next day. So he got the job done on Thursday night against Central Oklahoma. 1 goal away. It came in the third period. So he was over 100 minutes flawless in net. Ended up 46 for 47 on the weekend. That's phenomenal for any of the 3 goaltenders in net. Then also getting the nod was Kyle Dietrich on Saturday night's 6-1 performance against Oklahoma. And he stopped 22 of 23. So the defense certainly helped out both those goaltenders when they needed to make the big saves. They were there. They kept it in it. And I think by the end of this, I don't think any other away home team broadcaster is going to call him Joe Delia anymore, or Joe Delia, because certainly Joe Delia is the netminder of ASU, and he proved that this weekend, played phenomenal hockey, and that's really going to help the Sun Devils team this weekend at Penn State. But that'll kind of do it for our first segment. When we come back from the break, we're going to have an episode with head coach Greg Powers, as he'll give his intake, and then also Brian Parson after that. Then some more fun segments on Hell Frozen Over. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned for more after the break.
How do we rise to the challenges before us? Arizona State University.
Welcome back to Hell Frozen Over. Nick Marek now alongside head coach Greg Powers. And coach, before we dive into all the hockey news, got to ask, how was your Thanksgiving?
Thanksgiving was great. It was a nice week off. Nice to spend some good time with the family, and now we're back at it.
Do you have leftovers for days?
We did, but we try to get rid of them. We try to get rid of it and get it all out of the house as quickly as possible. So
that's usually a strategy I guess we all take. But before we get into Penn State, obviously the big news for this coming week, let's flash back 2 weekends ago against Oklahoma schools. You guys picked up your first ever sweep against Oklahoma. What did that mean for the program? How pleased were you with the team effort?
Really pleased. Anytime you go in, Oklahoma's a really good team, and they're going to be at the end, when it's all said and done, they're going to be a contender. They're very good, very talented. We went in, we just executed. We executed in every way we could, and we beat them 6-1 both nights. I think the Saturday game against Oklahoma probably was a closer game than 6-1. But the Friday game was definitely a 6-1 effort, and I was happy with the way the guys played. They approached it the right way, and everyone bought into what we want them to do, and obviously it's going to take that this weekend as well.
And I highlighted in our first segment about the Sun Devils getting 16 goals. So how pleased were you to finally see that offensive productivity really go out in full effect this 2 weekends ago?
Well, yeah, I mean, 16 goals in 3 games against those 3 teams. You know, Central Oklahoma is a team that's not easy to score on. They always have good goaltending. Their systems are very good. They block a lot of shots. They're very good defensively. They love to get pucks deep. So, 16 goals against UCO and Oklahoma in 3 games is phenomenal. We're very happy with that.
And let's look a little bit at the goaltender situation. Mentioned Joe Dealey getting 2 starts. He actually had over 100 minutes scoreless hockey on the road. Then Kyle Dietrich getting it on Saturday. How do you feel? It seems just like almost on a whim, you could just look on the bench. You can come in 10 minutes before the game. It seems like either one of those 3 goaltenders between Kyle, Joe, or Corey, you could just pick them to go in net.
You know, I feel the same way. You know, I mean, I have confidence in all of them. Joe's our guy right now, and he's going really well. And it was nice to see Dieter get a go against such a good team in Oklahoma and do so well. So, we have a ton of confidence in whoever we go with, and the team does now. They've all played against very good opponents and have beaten very good opponents, and that's the most important thing. So we're happy with where they're at, and hopefully they can keep going.
And now focusing more on Penn State, what exactly does this game mean for your program? Obviously, it's the first time, I think, in program history you played an NCAA school, but this one's on the road against an opponent who was #1 in the ACHA last year, had a slowly getting a rivalry going, it seemed like, even though you guys never played till later on. But what really is this weekend going to mean for you guys?
It's a big weekend, you know. I mean, it's a weekend that it's big marquee, and everybody's going to be watching, at least in our league. And I think our league's behind us, and they want to show that ACHA hockey is very high level and competitive at the highest level, and that's what we hope to go and improve. You know, we know that Penn State is a phenomenal hockey team. They're probably ahead of the curve of where they thought they would be with their first year in Division I. They're 6-5. They're beating Division I teams every weekend almost that they play. They just hung in there with the #7 ranked Division I team, Union, last weekend. So we got our hands full, and they're very good. But again, we believe we can go in and we can compete and at least make it so they feel like they were glad that they had us in.
Well, being the expert next to me, I have to ask, some of the stats are very telling, at least from Penn State's team. We aren't sure exactly if it's because they're playing the NCAA opponents, but power plays are not very strong for Penn State. They're only 4 for 49, I believe, was the official number for them, and they've only given up 8 power play goals to their opponents. So how is the special teams going to play up for you guys?
Well, I mean, we hope to not see their power play. Their power play is going to be very good. They have too much talent for it not to be. And again, they have a new young team, a team that really hasn't played a lot together. Again, they've only played 11 games.
Right.
And the majority of their go-to guys are big recruits from the USHL, and everywhere else they're pulling in kids. They're young, so it's going to take some time to get their chemistry going. And that's all special teams is chemistry and communication. And hopefully they don't get it going on our watch. But we're going to do what we can to stay out of the box and not have to see their power play. We're aware of their power play numbers, but in no way is that indicative of what they're going to throw out on the ice, and we don't want to see their power play, trust me.
And then last thing, have you guys been looking at a lot of tape? Is there any different way you're going to handle a team like Penn State than you would a team like University of Arizona, University of Oklahoma, Oakland, any of those opponents you've already played?
Yep, we have a good, solid game plan going in, and we think we know what they're going to throw at us, and we're going to be as prepared as we can be for it. But as far as our preparation, we're preparing for this series the exact same way we would anyone else. We don't think we have to tweak anything. We believe in our systems. Again, our systems cater to our players, and we're 18-0 with those, and we're fine-tuning those every week. But it's important for our guys to realize that against a team like Penn State, they have to execute what we want them to better than they have all year, almost to perfection. And so we're looking to have a near perfect effort, and if we do, I think that we'll be happy with the result.
Well, near perfect will be perfect, and I guess unfortunately we can't come join you this weekend. So best of luck to you guys on the road, and hopefully the Sun Devils can come back 20-0, or at least give a little bit of scare to the Nittany Lions. But that'll do for our second segment here on How Frozen Over. Stay tuned with an interview with Brian Parson after the break. Welcome back to Hell Frozen Over. Nick Merrick now alongside senior defenseman Brian Parson. And Brian, I have to ask Coach, got to ask you now too. Did you enjoy your Thanksgiving?
Oh, most definitely. Spend time with the family and friends. Had a couple bonfires and just hung around town here in Phoenix.
Well, that's kind of the best way to do it. I see you're rocking the No Shade November too,
Yep.
like the rest of the team.
Got to do it.
Getting you shaving it off December.
Three more days.
A couple more days. He's counting down the days of December 1st. That's this weekend. So actually, it'll be during the Penn State series, won't it?
Yep.
That'll be awkward. But now looking back a couple weekends, how do you feel the games against Oklahoma schools really prepared you for this coming weekend against Penn State?
Well, that was Oklahoma was definitely a big test for us. We were kind of having a rocky slump there. We were winning games, but we weren't playing a full 60 minutes every game. And going to Oklahoma was a big test for us. And both games, we played a full 60 minutes and performed really well. So going into Penn State, we just got to keep doing what we've been doing, especially in that second game versus OU. If we play like that, we should be able to put up a good game against Penn State.
Well, in the last segment again with Coach Powers, I actually said that the goaltenders really did the work for, at least Joe Dealey did for 100+ minutes, but a lot of it's back in the defenseman, so I don't really give you guys the credit you deserve. Now that you're on here, I can. The defense did not let up a goal until the third period of Game 2 on Friday against Oklahoma, so how did that feel for you guys really start clicking and really find your true form?
Well, our defense have been doing a really good job of just making those simple passes out of the zone, and the forwards have been doing a good job of getting low and supporting us. And when they're low supporting us, it helps us get out of the zone a lot easier and get down the ice so we can get more shots on net.
And then any chance this coming weekend against Penn State we see the Parson cannon get unleashed?
Oh, you definitely will see the cannon get unleashed.
All right, we're looking forward to that. We always try to call on the broadcast. We're just waiting of your obscure half rink shots, but hopefully not that crazy. Don't go too ham out there. But now back to a serious note. Looking to Penn State, being the senior, one of the few seniors on this team, what does this weekend really mean for you guys? How special of a game is this? Is one of the best games you're going to play in your collegiate career?
Yeah, definitely. This is a big test for a lot of guys who have either stepped down from that level or thought they could have made it, but there's some other circumstances going on, and this is a big test for guys, and this is our opportunity to see what we really got against teams of that caliber.
We do raise a really good point where you mentioned some players actually could be capable of making a lower-end Division I team instead of deciding to come to ASU and play ACHA hockey. So do you feel that the chemistry has enough talent behind it that you guys could really compete with NCAA schools?
Oh, definitely. I mean, looking at a roster compared to Penn State's roster, all the guys are from the same league, so I mean, they put on their jockstrap just like we do, so it's just another game anyone can win on any given day.
Now, how much tape have you guys watched? I don't know if Coach Powers really given you a lot, or has he been watching it more and kind of just clued you in, just kept you away from the old video?
You know, we haven't done any film on Penn State because we already pretty much know what we're up against, and we just want to focus on our game and make sure we're doing the right things we need to do to just win hockey games no matter who we're playing.
Anything to expect differently this coming weekend for any Sun Devil fans? I know I caught up with Danny McAuliffe earlier this week, and he mentioned that the team, as scary as it sounds, may not be at its best hockey yet. So any more tricks in the bag we may see coming soon?
Well, like I said, OU is definitely a big weekend for us, and if we continue to play like that, every game's just going to get better and better, and that's what's going to bring us to the level of teams like Penn State.
And last question is kind of what would be the team's goal going into this weekend? Obviously, hopefully you guys are going to scrap in there, being there. Who knows, you could end up getting the sweep, you could get swept, worst case scenario, but is this really going to be more of a building block, or is this more of we're going to go in there and be hungry for the win, or is it rather let's just see how well we can compare against the top teams and take that back home?
I mean, it's really a little bit of everything. I mean, we got a great program going here, and obviously Penn State, they made the jump to D1, but we know we're capable of playing teams like that, and that's why we're doing it this year.
Well, maybe a $2 million donor. If you guys are watching, you want to donate a couple $1 million bucks here.
That'd be nice.
We could upgrade this rink behind us, Oceanside, maybe come D1. But Brian, thanks for joining me.
Yeah, thank you.
And best of luck to you guys this weekend. But that'll do it for our second segment. When we come back from the break, we're going to have our top 10 tweets of the month, a brand new segment, and then also around the ACHA. So stay tuned for more Hell Frozen Over after the break.
I think when you come watch our team practice, what you're going to see is we go extremely fast.
Practices, our tempo, everything is up 100%.
In spring ball, we were going game speed, and he still thinks it's slow.
You have to be mentally tough. Every snap, you better give it 100%.
I just like the fight, the grind, every single play.
Do not put two hands on offensive linemen.
What I saw when I showed up here, I saw a bunch of young kids that was hungry to win. the sky's the limit for Sun Devil football.
Welcome back to Hell Frozen Over. I'm Allison Cummings, and with the holiday season this last week, there were no hockey games, but we decided to change it up a little bit and do the top 10 tweets of the month with none other than your ASU hockey boys. Let's get started. Our number 10 tweet will be the ASU hockey team tweeting out, "Happy holiday from the ASU hockey team. We thank you for your support and hope you enjoy your day. With the holiday season, this sounded about right." And at number 9, we have Joe Delia tweeting, "Too proud of the boys, great weekend, 18-0, and this will be the record they're going into Penn State with. Joe Delia is 12-0 on the season with a 93% save percentage." At number 8, Colin Heckle tweeting his own team, still number 1 in the country, no big deal. Well, Colin Heckle, 16 goals and 16 assists on the season isn't that big of a deal either. And with your inspirational tweet of the month, Jordan Young says, "Your personal philosophy is the greatest determining factor in how your life works out. Rise up now." Number 6, Stephen Collins gives you the breakfast for champions. 1 cookie for breakfast, 3 for lunch, 5 for dinner, 10 for dessert, and 1 for good luck. This is the Cookie Monster diet. And number 5, ASU hockey tweets, "Jay Buckles was on the call today at ASU's first annual turkey game. This was alongside Nick Merrick, ladies and gentlemen. And might I say, they did a pretty fantastic job for this turkey game. Take a look at Jay Buckles right now. And I gotta say, I thought Trey Lanthier was the biggest ginger I've ever seen, but I think Jay Buckles just one-upped him. I mean, look at that hairstyle." Number 4, we have a Stephen Collins tweet. "It's mid-November and I'm outside playing in my shorts, but there's no snowballs, no sledding, and no yellow snow cones. What to do?" Well, Stephen, in Arizona, you could always sled down a mountain and throw some rocks at the cactuses, you know? That's what everyone does here. And number 3, we have Ben Finley tweeting, "Happy 1-year anniversary to my beautiful mustache. I call him Muchacho." And with the holiday season, it really just warms my heart to see such a beautiful anniversary. Number 2, we have Joe Delia tweeting, "Going to see Breaking Dawn with Stephen Collins, and he can't wait. What an actual male bonding time, Breaking Dawn with the boys." The number 1 tweet, we have Dan Kunze. He tweets, "The boys and I decided that we will pick 2 teams on NHL 13 and watch the computer play each other. So we have an NHL season. Well, you now know the perfect Christmas gift for a hockey player or fan, NHL 13. Well, that'll do it for our top 10 tweets of the week segment. Now I'm going to send it over to Richard Flores and Josh Franz with a look into the ACHA.
Thanks, Allison, and welcome to Around the ACHA. Alongside Richard Flores, I'm Josh Franz. Let's get right into it. There were plenty of choices for your Sun Devil November Player of the Month. Richard, who'd you go with?
This was a kind of an easy decision for me, really. In the game of hockey, it's really a sport where the goaltender is your biggest asset. And, as an NHL fan, you can see just about every season where a team gets hot because of a hot goaltender. And you saw it, in this past postseason with, Mike Smith and Jonathan Quick as well. So that is the reason why I went with the Sun Devils starting goaltender, Joe Delia, this month for the month of November. He had an incredible month to watch. He went 6-0 with an incredible 0.83 goals against average in 6 games. And including that, a 97% save percentage. When you get goaltending like that from your goaltender, it's going to be tough to lose. So if the Sun Devils can continue to get the play out of Joe Delia like this for the rest of the season, they're going to be a tough team to beat, especially, coming up this week against Penn State. He's going to have to step up huge.
Yeah, there's no question that Joe Delia has led them from the net. My guy is going to be the guy who led them from the ice, Captain Colin Heckle. He had 10 points in the month of November, 5 goals, 5 assists. For the year, he has 32 points. That's tied for 3rd on the team. He has 16 goals, 16 assists. He's done it all. He's led this team to an 18-0 start. And I give him a lot of credit for being the captain, an extension of Coach Powers on the ice, and give him credit for this start for ASU.
Yeah, I think the captain, just as we mentioned, the goaltending is the captain is just as important. With him, he didn't have the most points in the month of November, but I think the most important thing from him is his leadership, like you talked about, because it's so important, coming off of last season when they had such a tough loss at the end of the year in the playoffs. You need a guy and need your veterans to step up big in a season. To see him doing so well, along with, guys like Cale Dolinsky. I also wrote down Danny McAuliffe and Brian McGinty also had great months with, they each had, 11. One of them had 11 points. and the other, actually, they both had 11 points in the month there. So they both had incredible months. So it's very big to see if Colin Heckle and that top line continue playing like they are.
Right. When you're 18-0 and number 1 in the country, there's obviously a lot of guys that you can choose from that you can say can be player of the month. You don't get this far without having a supporting group on the ice. But Colin Heckle has stood out to me. Joe Delia stood out for you. Let's move on now to our matchup to watch this coming weekend. Who do you have?
I got Ohio and Minot State. These guys are both ranked in the top 5. This should be an incredible matchup to watch. And, the interesting thing about this is the kind of differences in the way they play, because their goal differential is pretty much the same. Minot is plus 39, their goal differential. Ohio is a plus 36. The reason why I wanted to look at these numbers, I kind of wanted to get an idea for how they play. If they're a really good defensive team, if they're better offensively. And the one thing that really stood out is how great the defense and the goaltending is of Minot State. I wrote down the name of their goaltender, Riley Hingen, I believe is how you pronounce his name. Sorry if I got it wrong. But he is 6-1 on the season with a 124 goals against average, and he has a 96% save percentage on the season. That's second in the entire ACHA. So if he can get a big, 2 games out of him, it'd be huge for Minot State. And I think he's going to be the big key, the big player to watch in that series for sure.
All right, you talked about it. 2 great teams going at it this weekend there. I'm moving to a little lower in this rankings with 13th ranked Iowa State and 16th ranked Central Oklahoma. In Iowa State's last 3 games, they swept West Virginia and had a 3-2 loss to 9th ranked Lindenwood. Now they move on to play a tough 16th ranked Central Oklahoma team, and I'm eager to see how they're going to play against good competition. Central Oklahoma, on the other hand, just got off playing against good competition. In their last 3 games, they lost to ASU, but then they swept 17th ranked University of Arizona. So they've proven they can beat good teams, so it'll be an interesting matchup to see the 16th and 13th ranked teams go at it this weekend.
Yeah, you just mentioned that, that they beat U of A, and it was interesting because I was actually kind of watching that series, headed into that series, and I thought U of A looked like they were starting to get it going. I believe they even beat Oklahoma, I believe, on the road there before ASU played them. So I thought that, U of A could really improve their standing, maybe move into the top 10 with the win there, and they didn't. So it was huge for Central Oklahoma to get those 2 big victories against U of A. And heading into this series, you have 2 teams ranked 15 to 16 in that area. It's going to be interesting to watch for me because this could have playoff implications. Because only the top 20 teams make the playoffs, if one of these teams comes in and loses both of those games, they could find themselves outside the top 20, and they'll be looking at themselves kind of wondering how in the world are we going to get ourselves back into this playoff picture in the ACHA. It's going to be really tough.
All right, there's plenty of great games this weekend with a lot on the line. Should be fun to watch. That'll do it for Around the ACHA. For Richard Flores, I'm Josh Franz. We'll be back with more Hell Frozen Over after the break.
Tacos?
Nah. Burgers?
Yesterday.
Right.
I'm thinking
Mongolian.
Looking for a fresh, healthy alternative? Take a trip to Genghis Grill. Spice up your favorite meats and seafood, then load up on veggies. Choose a sauce, and let our Genghis Grill masters cook your selection to perfection. Genghis Grill, masters of Mongolian stir-fry.
Hey, go vegetarian?
Chicken. Me too.
Welcome back to our final segment of Hell Frozen Over. Nick Marek still with you here. But now previewing the Penn State series, obviously Coach Powers and senior Brian Parson gave their insight on their weekend and what exactly it means for the Sun Devils. But looking at it, Penn State comes in as an NCAA team now in Division I. Last year, they were right with the Sun Devils in the ACHA. They were the top team in the ACHA going into the national tournament. Both the Sun Devils and Penn State lost to Oakland in the national championship tournament bracket. But it's going to come out. It's going to be a fantastic weekend. It's going to actually prove to see where exactly the Sun Devils stand, how good they truly are, or whether they're just the best in the ACHA, or whether they might have a chance of competing with some NCAA schools down the road if they happen to make their schedule out that way. But it'll be a good test. Coach Powers and the team very much looking forward to this one. Penn State comes in at 6-5 on the season. However, they are a more defensive-minded team just because they're in the NCAA against the tougher opponents. For example, they took on number 8 ranked Union. That's 8th ranked in the NCAA Division I. So that's almost like saying, if you look at the college basketball bracketology brackets, you're playing one of the number 2 seeds in the entire nation. So it's phenomenal for Penn State to say that they can compete with the best of those. They only did score 1 goal, 4-1 and 2-0 were the decisions against the 8th best team. However, they hung in there and played very strong. They're going to come out firing against the Sun Devils, so a couple things the Sun Devils might have to look at is the power play usage of Penn State. They come in at only 4 for 49 on the season. Their penalty kill, the penalty kill is pretty good. They only given up 8 power play goals, but power play for the Nittany Lions has not been their strong suit. Again, it might be because it's just NCAA opponents, and maybe because they haven't found it clicking yet, because their whole chemistry changed from last season to this season. A couple new faces. They're allowed to get those scholarship players that the Sun Devils can't do. They have a couple of, the goaltenders are the same, also one new addition. However, if you look at their leading point scorer, it's only 11 points for their top scorer in the 11 games that they played thus far this season. The Sun Devils, different story. They have a couple players up there in the 30 points in 18 games. So it's going to be a different battle for the Sun Devils. It's going to be a great test to see if they stand at number 1. Not sure exactly how it's going to shape up, but certainly the Sun Devils are hoping they can hopefully scrap away at least one game of the 2. That would be considered a win for the Sun Devil program, saying, guys, we just beat an NCAA Division I team. If we just beat a Division I team, there's no reason we can't go all the way in national tournaments in the ACHA. 18-0 record on the line. They have a chance to go 20-0. That's the story. Again, if they do not get the 20 wins, it's not going to affect their ACHA standings against ACHA schools. It's still going to be 18-0, and they'll put it as a non-ACHA team, so it won't affect their rankings come March. But that'll do it for our episode here of Hell Frozen Over. Hope you guys enjoyed it and had a great holiday weekend, but stay tuned for more Hell Frozen Over next week when we'll come right back at you. Hopefully Trey Lanther, Austin Control will be by my side, but for now, have a great time. Enjoy some hockey this weekend.